Hi, this is Lisa. I was asked a few times by a couple people to do a video on apple cider caramels, so I'm going to do that today for you. Yesterday I boiled down 64 ounces of apple cider so that it comes to more of a thicker syrup. I guess it's not real thick, but it has been boiled down. I'll be using this. I also have my can of butter in the pot, and we add 2 cups. It calls for 6 tablespoons of can of butter or butter. You can also use can of oil too. This is 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Two cups of sugar. I use can of sugar. I did all this and pre-measured it out just to make it easier for the video because I don't want to keep everybody on with me the whole time. It also takes a cup of corn syrup, light corn syrup. And I do not own the music. If you hear music in the background, I do not own the rights to this music. It just happens to be playing on my TV at the moment. I like to have music when I'm baking or cooking. It just makes time go by a little bit quicker. It also takes a half a cup of that boiled cider. And I will put the recipe up, especially for the magical butter people. I like to leave my cinnamon in here. When I boil mine down, I add a cinnamon stick or two to the apple cider just to give it a little extra kick. And I leave it in the syrupy stuff while it's sitting in the refrigerator. Now that it's all combined, I'll turn it on to medium, which on my oven it's about a 4. Actually, it's supposed to be high heat, so I'll do like a 5. And I'll stir to get it all mixed up together. Once I have mixed it and the butter has melted, I will then put my thermometer in. And the thermometer temp for this recipe calls up to 248. Which would 248 is like softball. And with this recipe, what I find so different from my other recipe I like to use for caramels is that this one, once it is done, you leave it sit out overnight and it cures and kind of gets like a, I don't know, like a skin on it you could call. So it's not so soft. And then when you wrap them up, I don't have the melting like I do on my other recipe of caramels that I like to use. Plus this one just has a little extra apple cider kick to it, which is really cool. Also on this recipe, because the person who requested these, or my friend I'm making them for, he likes his extra strong, so I'll be making this batch with Fecco in it also. I'll put a full 5-gram syringe of Fecco in. Fecco, for those of you who do not know, it is fully extracted cannabis oil. It is all the plant matter into a syringe like this. This one actually has some Everclear still in it. It didn't get evaporated completely out of this one, but it'll be alright for this mix. But I'll wind up adding those 2 syringes because the one is more liquid than anything. It's actually this one that's liquidy. But that alcohol will boil out in the process of making my caramels. So I won't have to worry about that. Also, Fecco, some people call RSO, Rick Simpson oil. I make my Fecco with Everclear. That's how I do the extraction. I run it in my magical butter machine. 8 hours I decarb first, 240 degrees for an hour, and then I run it in my magical butter machine for 8 hours, let it rest overnight, and then 4 hours the next day, and then strain. And I strain it with 3 coffee filters at a time, and brown coffee filters, and at a time. And I do that at least 2 to 3 times to get it strained out, to get all the sediment, so that my final FECO product doesn't have particles in it. I have a green oil machine, which then I run it through that machine as well. Then I can reclaim my alcohol and have a clear alcohol again, so I can use it an additional time. And then I'm left over with FECO at the end once all the alcohol has come back out. This is basically just melting down right now. I'm going to pause the video for now, and I'll come back in a bit. I'm not sure if you can see that very well, but it is boiling now. I do have the thermometer in there. It takes about 20 minutes or so to boil. So I'm just going to put you on pause for a little bit longer until I can come back, and I'll bring you back when I add the spices to it, because it does call for cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger, and a little bit of salt. Those are the 4 spices that go in it, which gives it a little extra kick. The nutmeg, I guess, preferably fresh ground nutmeg, I guess it is supposed to help up your high also when it comes to cannabis. So I will be back in a little bit. I'm just going to check the temperature now, and I'm going to add one of the syringes of FECO. I've already added the other one that was more liquidy. I use 2 thermometers. One I keep in, and the other one I do a manual test for, just because the one I keep in there doesn't always work at the right temp, or it's off of it. So now I've got the other syringe of FECO in there. I'm safe to add it now, in my opinion, because I'm not going over 300. I'm only going to 248. So right now it's sitting at about 230. So in my opinion, I'm okay to add the FECO then, as the bubbles will help disperse it evenly along with my stirring in the end. I'm still at 233. I'm going to pause the video for a little bit until it's time to take it off, add the spices, and pour. Another thing I wanted to add about my syringes with my FECO, okay, now that this is empty, at the end, at that tip, there is still medicine in there. So what I do is I save mine, and I keep it in a baggie for when I make coffee in the morning and I need an extra kick of medicine. I pull back the syringe a few times, plunger it out, and pull the hot coffee into this, because then it helps it melt into my cup. So that's just a little tip for you. Instead of throwing the whole syringe away, save it and get that last little bit out, because you don't want to waste your meds. It is now at 248. My thermometer beeps at me when it's at the firm ball stage. Actually, it's firm ball, not soft ball. So I will turn off my heat, take it off the burner, and I'm going to add all my seasonings. Now, it takes a teaspoon of, actually half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon makes such a big mess in these big containers. I like to add cinnamon to my coffee in the morning as it's brewing, or right before I brew it. Adds a nice little kick. My kid likes it. My daughter likes it like that too. It's just her and I, so. There's my 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. And I need a 1/4 of nutmeg and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I have sea salt, which I enjoy better than iodized. Now just stir that up. And I'm going to put it in this big measuring cup for when I pour into my molds to make it a lot easier. I will direct the camera, move the camera around in just a minute so you can see me pour into the molds. I have new molds that I got that I'm hoping will be easier to use and easier to wrap instead of, I normally put this recipe in an 8x8 pan lined with parchment paper, but boy, cutting it is a pain in the butt. I mean, you gotta have some muscle to get through that stuff. So I'm hoping this new mold will help me a lot more. These are my new molds. They're just nice little squares. Should work perfectly for what I need to, for the size I like to have. There we go. So a little bit about myself. I've been making edibles for, it'll be going on 5 years starting April. I've been using cannabis for about 6 years, starting April. I have several medical conditions and disabilities that 30 prescription pills a day was not doing it for me. I was a mess. I was just wanted to hide away in my room, even though I was on antidepressants and anxiety medication. And I personally think the pharma medicine messed up my insides, my organs more so. Cannabis, I haven't had, since I started cannabis, I haven't had any major surgeries that I've had to have. Like I did before when I was on all those pharma pills. I learned pretty much through people online and through the Magical Butter site users group. It's been a wealth of knowledge. I enjoy it. And I enjoy making meds for myself and other people to keep them healthy, to keep them centered, to keep them happy and out of pain. Pain is a huge thing for myself. I deal with it on a daily basis. Some days are better than others. So I'm going to continue to pour this, and I thank you so much for your time and watching my channel. I hope this helps for anybody who wants to make apple cider caramels. Have a good day.